Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Uche. In today's video we are going to complete the dress that we started the last time. I'm sorry for the little delay. If you have not watched that part 1, I would advise you go back to watch it so that you will know how we arrived at this point. Okay, so this is actually where we stopped the last time. I had to cut the tutorial because I wanted it to be very detailed, and at the result of being detailed, it became more longer than necessary. So you can see that I've darted my bra cup. All I did was just to fold my cup into two, and the what I used to sew it is 1/2 inch, and the length is 2.5 inches. Okay, so I darted it by 1/2 inch, and then I darted it by 1/2 inch, and the length is 2.5 inches. I just hope you understand. And of course, I use the exact size of my bra cup. So what you're going to do is to place the bra cup directly on your under bust. Okay, you can just go ahead to make a mark to identify your under bust, and then you go ahead to pin that point. And then I'll also fold my cup into two to get the midpoint. So since what we are working with is a straight dart, not a princess dart, I'm going to place the midpoint of the cup directly on the dart line, right? That's the joining you have at the upper part. You're going to place the midpoint on that part. So I will turn it to the right side, so I will make sure that there is no fold. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to stretch out my fabric so there won't be any fold from the right side. Okay, so that is what you will do. And then I'm going to place the second one this way, just like we did for the first one. Make sure you place the down part of the cup directly on your under bust. Can you see? So if you use your exact bra cup, you are not going to have issue with fixing it. Just hope you understand. But if you use a bra cup that is bigger than your bust, you might have challenge of the bra cup bigger than the dress itself, like covering the upper part. But you can see how mine is. I did not even trim, and everything is just sitting pretty. So do well to make use of your exact bra cup, right? And I just hope you are seeing what I am doing. I'm trying to pin it all round, just like I did for the other side. Now make sure that as you are pinning it under the fabric, that's from the right side of the fabric, you are spreading out the fabric, okay, so it doesn't fold on the right side. I just hope you understand everything I'm trying to say. So if you don't understand, just watch carefully and see what I just did here. Can you see it? I've fixed it, and you can see from the right side that everything is sitting even without being stitched. Can you see it? There is no fold or whatsoever. There are different ways you can stitch this. You can either follow the dart line. Can you see how I did my own? I just give it a small stitch all round. I did not sew it completely. So some people will just sew it all round. Some people will follow the dart line and sew, while some will use their hand needle to tack. Whichever technique you want to use, I will assure you that you will still arrive at the same point. Okay, so I tacked with my machine. All right, so for the down part of the dress, this is it. I've removed my pattern paper, and for the back, remember we have 2 pieces, and for the up and front part we have it cut on fold. So I'm going to open it up now, place it right side facing right side. So whatever allowance you added for your sewing, make sure you use it. Okay, so I'm going to pin it and then go ahead to sew mine, and I'll bring it back. So after sewing it, I will iron it out, which I have done here. So this is what we have. So I'm going to keep this aside while we work on the strap of the dress before we start joining. Okay, so remember that this is my upper part. This is the pattern for my front upper part. Okay, I remember that I offed my shoulder by 6 inches. That is why I brought this back, so you all can see it clearer. Okay, I offed the shoulder by 6 inches, and for the back I offed it by 8 inches. All right, so 6 inches for the front and 7.5 inches for the back. When you put them together, it will give you 13.5 inches. Okay, so hope you understand. All right, I off the front shoulder by 6 inches, and I off the back by 7.5 inches. So when you put it together, it gave me 13.5 inches. So that is the length of the strap. I will cut out rather. So because you're going to be joining the strap, okay, so you're going to add extra 1 inch to the length you got. All right, because you're going to join the front by 1/2 inch, then join the back by 1/2 inch. So I have cut out mine. All right, so I cut out 4 pieces. I want to turn it. Okay, so I'll go ahead now to turn it. I have done it here. I place it right side facing right side, and I sew the two sides, and this is what I have here. Okay, so I'll go ahead now to start joining. You're going to bring back that your upper part that you kept aside. So I've notched the center of the upper part. Okay, so I'm going to measure from the center to one side by 5.5 inches. If you're on the smaller side, measure out 5 inches. If you're on the bigger side, measure out 6 inches. Okay, so I will pin, and then I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. From the center again, I will measure out 5.5 inches again, and I will go ahead to pin the other strap right there. Okay, so I'll go ahead to pin it. So for clarification purpose, note that I am doing this on the main piece, not on the lining piece. Okay, so the lining piece is the one that has brack up. All right, so while the main piece is the one without brack up. All right, so for the back, I will measure out my zipper allowance, then measure out 5.5 inches. So I will go ahead now to pin the back. See the way I turned my strap like this. Okay, so I'll go ahead to pin it to that 5.5 inches. Repeat the same thing on this other side. Measure out your zipper allowance, and then measure out your 5.5 inches. Yours might be 5, yours might be 6. Okay, it's not necessarily going to be 5.5 inches, which I have explained earlier. Note that we are doing this on the right side of the main piece. Okay, this is the right side. We place the whole thing on the right side. So you will bring the down part of your dress and align them right side facing right side, seam to seam this way. Okay, so after that, you also bring your lining piece and also place it right side facing right side, seam to seam. Okay, then I'll go ahead to pin it, which I have done here. After pinning, you're going to push all this inside like this. All right, and also notch the midpoint of the lining because I didn't do it earlier. So after that, you will go ahead now to also align the seams. Okay, that's a dot line. Align the seams, so make sure everything aligns very well. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, kindly hit on the subscribe button, and if you're enjoying the tutorial so far, give me a thumbs up. Drop your comment, drop your comment guys. Okay, so after that is done, you go ahead to sew by 1/2 inch. Also sew the down part by 1/2 inch. After that is done, you're going to keep it aside. Let's work on the down part, which is the handkerchief part of this kit, and that is the most interesting part for me. All right, so before I start explaining how I did it, I'm going to first of all explain how many yards I used for this tutorial. Okay, pay attention. I made use of 4.5 yards of fabric, and I cut out 3 yards just for the down part alone. I kept it aside before I started drafting. So 3 yards for this handkerchief part, and then the remaining 1.5 yards went to the upper part. I just hope you understood. Okay, so 1.5 yards for the upper part, while 3 yards, all the 3 yards entered on the down part of the skirt, which is the dress rather, which is the handkerchief part. So let's continue. So now that I've explained how many yards I have here, which is 3 yards, so I'm going to fold the whole 3 yards into 2 this way. So by the time you fold it into 2, you will have 1.5 yard each. Okay, so 3 yards folded into 2. After folding it properly off camera, this is what I have. You will go ahead now to fold it again into 4, which means this time we are folding the length into 2. All right, I know that some of us knows that most of these fabrics, they come by 60 inches. Okay, which this one is among them. So the length is 60 inches, which means after folding it into 2, we have 30 inches by length. All right, that is 3 yards of fabric folded into 2 gave us 1.5 yards. Then the length folded into 2 again gave us 30. I just hope you understood what I just did here. So what I basically did was that I folded the fabric into 2. Okay, folded the 3 yards into 2 first, and then folded the length of the fabric into 2 again, that which means we have it into 4. So I'll go ahead now to split it. Another simple way to do this is to divide that your 3 yards of fabric into two, like divide the length into two. You know it comes by 60 inches length. Just divide that your 3 yards of fabric, divide the length into two, which will give you 3 yards by 30 inches, 3 yards by 30 inches. I hope you understood. All right, so I have to pass through this process for those that does not understand really fast. So after cutting it into two, we now have 3 yards by length 30. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now to fix it on our main dress. So remember, this is what it looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to bring the longest part. So that longest part is the part we're going to fix on this curve that we are seeing right here. Okay, so I'm going to bring one side of the longest part, which is the 3 yards. Okay, so I'm going to open it up like this. This is the 3 yards. You can see how long it is. Can see how long it is. So I'm going to bring it, fold it into two so we can get the midpoint. I just want to make this video very detailed so that you all can understand it very well. Okay, I'm going to notch the midpoint here. After notching the midpoint, I'm going to bring one side like this. Bring one side, pin it on one side, on the hemline of one side of the dress. Okay, so one side of the fabric, pin it on the hemline of one side of the dress this way. I'll go ahead now to pin it just to secure it, that part. Okay, so after pinning it, I will also bring the other side again and pin on the other side of the hem again. Just watch carefully what I am doing. So this part you need to pay more attention, okay, and watch what I am doing. So we are going to open this part up. So the seam, the side seam we have on the dress itself, this is the side seam. Okay, so you're going to measure from the side seam, measure down 10 inches and mark. Okay, so measure down 10 inches and mark on one side. Also on the other side, from the side seam again, measure down 10 inches again and mark. So after that is done, you are also going to pin the 10 inches you just marked. Remember that you have pinned the down part, all right? So you also pin the 10 inches mark you made. Okay, so use your pin to hold it down. You also repeat the same thing on this other side. Also pin that 10 inches mark right here. So after pinning it now, you can see the little space we have now. So this little space you are seeing here, you are going to gather all of this thing now on this little space. It's either you pleat it or you gather it, because for me I pleated mine. So you can pleat yours, you can also gather it. So another thing I did was that in order to spread the gather evenly, so that, remember the notch I first made before we started placing all of this, that notch I made on the midpoint of the fabric, I'm going to place it on the side joining that we have on the cloth. Okay, so the midpoint, the center of the fabric, I place it on the side seam of the dress, and then you're going to gather this part to this part. Okay, and then also gather the other side to this other side. So it's just to make the pleat, to spread this pleat evenly so that one side will not be more than the other side. Okay, then I will gather everything, sew from the beginning to the end. So guys, after sewing in, this is what I have. You can see the pleat now. So you're also going to repeat the same thing on this other side. So after that, I went ahead to join the center back together with my zipper allowance, and I leave space for my zipper. So I will go ahead now to sew in my zipper, and I will show you the end result. So guys, I can tell you for free that this dress is more prettier in person. Okay, and I wore it, I got a lot of compliments. I was even forced to create ready to wear with it to some of my customers that I have their perfect measurement. And guys, please subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed watching this tutorial, I really want to see your comments. Like, I want to see your comments, and also like, share, so you can see more interesting tutorials like this.